Hi, this is Ginger Cook, and I want to welcome you to a project that was thought up by the Creative Art Collaboration of artists on YouTube who every month are going to do a different theme. This month it was animals, and that's thus the hashtag and what you saw that for. Wasn't that fun? And a lot of different artists are involved in that. You probably know my daughter, Cinnamon the Art Sherpa, and Secret Soto also was doing some stuff in Clive, and oh gosh, we have over 300 in the group, and a lot of arts and crafts and so forth. And so I want you to just do another celebration, just like we did Pansy Garden. Here's our painting of a rooster. This is done with a palette knife. The only thing that's a little different, here's how I do these. I start the painting and then I come back and do the introduction, all right? And by doing that, sometimes the painting looks slightly different because I might even play with a little bit. And I think I went back and added a few little bright spots of red again. So you might just check back with this and look at the final and see if there's anything else you want to add, because this is the final. I did use something called Phalo green at the end, which I mentioned, but it's not in the original palette. So that's the only color that we use that's not in the original palette, and which I'll go on and explain to you. This is a 12 by 12 canvas. I want to give you some brief measurements on this ruler in case we didn't get those before. The body of our rooster is about 4.5 inches. He's 6 inches from his back down to the bottom of his foot. At his widest part, he's about 6 3/4 inches wide. His head is about 2 inches down from the top and about 2 3/4 inches over where his head starts. So I wanted to make sure that you could sort of see that, and maybe those are extra helpful measurements when you decide to put this in, if you're doing it as a square. But I think I've got a pretty good explanation of how this is painted. We are using, for the texture, not on the background, but we did it for the bird, we used Liquitex Professional Molding Paste, and it's a gel medium, and what I like about it, it's not shiny, and when you hit a hairdryer on it, it dries. This is still probably a little soft underneath, but it skins over enough where you can keep going. So that's a very helpful thing. We've got a lot of bright colors going. If you love this picture and you're having fun doing it, I'd love a like and a good comment. Comments are very nice for us on YouTube. We love your feedback. You can link to my Facebook channel. Show me the pictures that you're doing. I'd love to see what you're painting. And without any more chatter about how great and fun this is going to be, let's just get started and paint this colorful rooster with a palette knife. Okay, so to start our rooster today, how we're going to start him out is I got a panel. This is a new product sold over at Jerry's Artorama. It's called a Da Vinci Pro panel, and it's a medium textured surface, but it's wood, okay? And it's a 12 by 12. I just wanted you to see that. And it comes, you don't frame these. There's another one you don't frame. You just sort of paint over the sides. So I guess you could frame them, but I don't think that you'd want to, okay? So we're going to start with that. It's 7/8 inch thickness. And it's specially designed masonite, very similar to some other brands you've seen, but a lot less expensive. And they make their panels much larger. You can afford to do a really nice wooden panel. And we're going to do a palette knife on this. But first off, what I want to do is make an underpainting. So I'm going to start with 4 yellows. And if you saw my video on yellows, you'll see that there's some new yellows here. ISO yellow, Naples yellow, Australian Sienna, and then of course your Cad yellow medium. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this Cad yellow medium on one side of the brush and a little Naples yellow on the other, and I'm just going to start doing this sort of down and across, down and across. Here's a little Naples yellow. I want some different tones. I'm going to grab a little of this gold, maybe put it over here, down in here like this. Now a little bit of this light yellow. And what we're trying to do is, this is an underpainting. Some of this is going to go through. Of course, we're going to have a rooster over most of this, so you're not going to see it. This is a good practice. If you haven't, if you're just doing an underpainting all one color, consider, getting a nice variety. Here's some Australian Sienna. Let me put some white with that, and you can see what that does. A little bit of white, like that. Come down. I'm using a ruby satin silver brush, and it's a bright brush. It's squared off, and it's a number 12. All right, so now I'm just going to keep this going. I like these sort of bright colors in the middle. See how we're making almost, think about weaving. That's what I would tell you. Think that you're weaving the colors. That's what I'm going for here. A little bit of weaving, something across this way. And yes, we're going to go over this with a palette knife. But first off, what I'm going to do is put this first layer down, and then I'm going to draw on the rooster after I've dried this really thoroughly. And then I will use a palette knife on the entire painting. The reason I'm not going to do a palette knife first is because then it would be very difficult to do the rooster. So I really have to have the rooster sort of in place before I do much more of this. Put a little gold, bring it back down here. Here's a little Australian Sienna. Very similar. Okay. There's a little Naples yellow. Just kind of down and across, down and across. Like I say, 90% of this is going to be gone, but this will show underneath your canvas, underneath your other stuff, and anytime that when you're doing a palette knife and a little bit of the underpainting will show through, it will all be different. But this is real pretty. So now we've got something on here, and it covered really nicely, I can tell you that. I suppose if you were going to keep going, you probably should do the sides. I'm not going to, but just my advice is do the sides too. Alright, so that's what I've got. Now this brush goes in water. We're going to pause the video, and we're going to dry this. And it's going to probably take you a good 5 minutes to dry that. And the trick is you want to put your hairdryer on high heat and hold it as close as you can to the paint without touching it. And then at the very end, hit it with a blast of cold air to kind of set it. So that's our plan. Let's get stopped and drying. Alright, so now I'm going to start drawing on the rooster. And I'm drawing this from a photograph. I'll mention this in our video too. From a website, it's wonderful for artists. It's called paintmyphoto-art.com, pmp-art.com. And this lovely photographer by the name of Sherry Graves has a lot of paintings of roosters, and I picked one that I thought would go very nicely on this square 12 by 12 board. And it was perfectly all right to use these. You just have to give the photographer credit, which we are now doing, and we thank you, Sherry, for that. So what I want to do is I want to decide that I want the feet of this rooster to end here, and that they're sort of at an angle, and I'm using some new pastel chalk. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this is where I want the feet to end. It's a portrait, so I'm going to put him in the middle, okay? Because we're going to need all of this for his tail. And so if I've decided that that's where his legs are coming, like this. Now I'm saying that this back leg is going this way. I don't think you can see this. Let me just change colors here. Here's some brown. So I said that here's a leg and here's a leg. And he's got these little, remind me of the pantaloons that they used to wear, back in the time of Queen Elizabeth and the old knights of old, Sir Walter Raleigh and those guys. Okay, so then he's going to have some little feet coming out like this and like this, but I wanted to say that this is where he has to end. Now this little bit here of his leg is fairly large. I'm just kind of looking at the photo. I'm going to go up from here to about here for his back, and I'll measure that in a minute for you because I'm just doing this. I always start like this, and then I'll do an introduction, and then I know that his tail is going to kind of be coming up here, so I'm making sort of a mark. And the interesting thing about this rooster, he's got an interesting shape. And I want you to, all chickens do. I'm just going to kind of show you this real quick if you think about sort of this shape, almost like a half of a circle here, okay, like this, and then cut that off, right? And then on top of that, there's like this cone shape that's going to be the head. Then he's got the chickens, they have kind of the small little head here, and then this little beak. And then his back sort of curves like this and then goes back up. And then you've got all this tail feathers, which as artists we're going to exaggerate. We're just using it as a reference, so it still sort of looks like a Rooster when we're gone. And he's got some more feathers coming out this way, and he's got his little legs coming out this way. They're both in this direction, but this one's going back in this direction. So that's basically how we're going to draw this rooster on, okay? But I want you to see the shape of this. Is on a cone here. This is like a half circle here. Really the back end has a little bit, it's almost several layers of rooster, and then there's another pile of feathers that goes here, and then up here like that. So anyway, that's what we're drawing, okay? So now that you know that, it wasn't totally dry, or that paper wouldn't have stuck. All right, so now we're going to say that I think I want his body. I'm going to make that loop I told you about, right, like this. Almost a pretty good loop, like that. And we're going to say he's about this wide. And then right here is where that cone shape happens. And it's a curve. It's like, it curves almost. I would say, you know how you ever drawn, if you've ever drawn any horses, you've seen that, where the neck kind of arches. And then it curves like this, okay? And then here's his back, which is fairly short. He's got some fancy feathers in here. And then all this up here is feathers. I'm going to bring it out. All this is feathers. And then there's a small little head here. It's really interesting. His head's not very big at all. And then you've got a little beak like that, okay? So we're saying, so I'm going to say that if I've decided now, let's see, how much of this can I make a little bit bigger? Can I exaggerate this a little bit? Maybe come in here now that I sort of got this. And I know I'm going to want him coming down here like this. I'm still loving this coming up like this. Making sure his neck's fat enough. And we're going to do something like this. It's not in the picture, but I think it needs to have something like that. And then this very fancy tail that's coming up here. And like I say, I'm going to exaggerate it, because what's the fun of doing a rooster if you can't have some exaggeration? In other words, this is going to be very decorative art. It's never been meant to look exactly like a chicken. It's going to be all done, or roosters, all done with a palette knife. Okay? So, alright, so that's what we said. So now I know where he is. You kind of see that? Now I know where he is. The rest of this has to be filled in. Okay? So probably what I'll do now, I know we said a palette knife, but that doesn't mean you're a slave to it. Probably what I'm going to do next is I'm going to leave these colors on here. I've got two palette knives. I've got one like this. This is a Creative Mark palette knife, but it really, it's a number 61, but really Bob Ross kind of invented this particular shape palette knife. And I like the Creative Mark ones, however, because you can leave them in water and they don't rust. And I'm going to use one like this. And I'm going to take an extra plate like this to mix on, all right? And, well, maybe we'll use this because we're going to do into greens. We've got all these yellows, so we're going to make some greens. So I want two different blues out. I want Phalo blue and Ultramarine blue. Those are the two blues I want for my background. And I think I want a little purple and a little Cad Red medium. You're going, well, why is that? Well, Phalo blue is the color of the Pacific Ocean, and Ultramarine blue is the color of the Atlantic, and Cad Red medium is sort of a red-orange color. Kind of here's my Dazzling purple. Put that right next to these. Purple is red and blue, so that makes sense, right? If you're thinking about that. So here's our Cad Red medium. I'll kind of just sneak that in between the two yellows. There's a little Cad Red. Okay. Now, yes, I said I was going to make a green, so how are we going to do that? Because we're not buying any greens. Let's put out a little bit more of the Naples yellow light. I want to grab some of that. That's a nice color by Matisse. It really is, and it's a kind of a, it's not quite a white. It's got a bit of a yellow cast to it. And, alright, let's see what happens. Let's take a little bit of Phalo blue here. See how that's sort of a turquoisey blue, and take a little bit of this with it. Okay, and that's interesting. Just not changing it much. Let's take a little ISO yellow now. That's an interesting green, right? A little bit more ISO yellow. Didn't change it very much. Sort of a blue-green color. Now I've got some yellow oxide. How about a little bit of ultramarine blue in that? Let's make some greens, you guys. Alright, there's a darker green. Let's put a little phthalo with that. Alright, there's a green. Now I'm going to take some Australian sienna and some white and add it to these. Now I've got a third green. You guys see these different greens I'm making? Like that? Okay, that's good, because that's okay. So now that I've decided that that's what we're going to do, I'm going to come down here like this and scrape up some greens like this, and I'm going to, using a downward motion like this, I'm going to cover the background with these greens, and I want some of this yellow to show through. And I've varied the greens because I'm varying the light and dark of this background. But I've decided that I want this mostly green background. Everything's going up and down like this. I don't care about the legs so much. I'll put those back, but I needed to know where they were going to be. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this Naples yellow light and add to that. Just barely touch it. The thing about doing a palette knife is that you want to vary the colors. Everything, we're just keeping this all in the same direction. Generally speaking, it's not a terrible plan to have it a little darker at the bottom. Okay, we haven't even changed much of the red yet, but we're just putting in here like this. We're coming down, we're going around our, let's just come up here this way now with some greens. Alright, so we're just saying that this is our, almost going to be a decorative piece. I'm going to come next to here like this, start pulling, everything's being pulled down. When you're doing grass, whether you're painting grass or palette knighting grass, it's not a terrible plan to have it, all the brush strokes going up and down. That really defines what it might be. So here's a little bit of paint right on top of that. Here's a little bit of cad yellow medium just in some of this, like that, almost like shingles. See how I'm coming down? Isn't it kind of a neat, it's a neat colored background. I knew you'd like it. Now what you have to appreciate is we're going to use a lot of paint doing this, and I'm going to rotate this canvas around. Alright, a little bit. I think I'm going to turn it. Let's see, how do I want it? Well, it's interesting. I'm going to come over here now and bring some of this under my Rooster. Bring it a little closer to me. See there? Now I've got a little bit of that blue cast to it. That's pretty. Let's see what happens. You want to vary your picture. You want to vary the blues. You see that? This is sort of, that was that Naples yellow with a tiny bit of phthalo blue to it. Now I've got a little bit of Cadmium medium that I haven't mixed very well. I'll show you what happens when we do this. The secret to beautiful palette knife painting is not over mixing the colors and to varying where you put them. Now here I'm into a little bit of the blue tones again. Just going to come over my little chicken legs, rooster legs. Barely touching this because I'm going on top now. Okay. I'm going to just keep adding color, because this painting is only going to be about color. We're celebrating animals in the month of August, and some people, people eat roosters and chickens, so maybe they're not considered quite as much of an animal as maybe a dog or something, and I understand that, but when people have chickens, they get very fond of them. I had a neighbor in California, and she used to keep chickens, and she'd bring the vet out for them, pay the vet to come out and see her chickens. And I knew another lady that had ducks, and she had a different set of like 3 or 4 lakes that she personally built for her ducks. And if she felt they were getting overpopulated, she would just hire more people to take care of them. And we live so close to San Diego, I never understood why I mean, I'm not against ducks, but really I thought some people might have used her help more than those ducks. But see what I'm doing now? See this wonderful background? Now at this point, you guys, I'm out of paint. And this is where you're going to kind of, don't get cheap on me. If you're going to do this, don't get cheap on me, because if you don't put enough paint out, yes, we could, I'm not using a medium because I'm trying to do this in some sort of reasonable period of time. So I don't want that. I wanted the other yellow. What's this? Where's my yellow? Naples yellow. Yeah, because if I started putting medium in this to extend the paint, and I could go 50-50, then we'd be 2 or 3 days doing this picture. And I'm just not up to those kind of edits. Okay, so here's my Naples yellow, coming over here like this with it. Just kind of laying it up over this. Now a little bit of ultramarine blue and cad yellow medium. That's sort of an army green. Let's put some of that down in here. Gonna darken the corners like that. Okay, kind of see where I'm going down with this. Ultramarine blue and cad yellow medium make army green, like that sort of, you can camouflage a tank with it. Okay. See, I'm still doing the up and down. I want to be sort of consistent with these palette knife strokes. And if you see any of the yellow underneath, that's fine. That works for me. We could have painted this red underneath too. That might have been pretty. But I like the yellow, okay? Now I'm going to take a little phthalo blue and Naples yellow, and that's got a little blue cast to it. I'm going to come up here. I know we're going to be putting in, all this is going to be feathers, so I'm not going to try and get too clever with this. All this is absolutely going to be feathers. But I want to just maybe come up here like this with this blue or green, and let's see. Let's put a little white with it. And this plate, I'm just sort of going around scraping up bits of color on the plate. Okay. So here's our greens. Let's try a little bit more Naples yellow. I'm out of that already. Pretty though, right? And don't you like all these blues and greens? They're nice. It's nice to be able to make them. Okay, so what do we got here? We got a little bismuth yellow here. I had that from the other day. It's called bismuth yellow. That's an interesting green. Boy, that's kind of bright, isn't it? Okay, this is bismuth yellow, so I'm going to just pull some of that down in here, where I might want a little brighter. Let me just scrape that off. That wasn't our palette plan. I grabbed the wrong tube of paint. Okay, a little bit of phthalo blue, cad yellow medium, a little bit of Australian sienna. Okay, now more greens coming up here like this. Coming under my rooster. Like frosting a cake. Ever said how you do this? I'm scraping and holding it kind of flat and then just flattening it out. And I'll do a little bit. If it looks like it's too much of the same color, I'll come back, do another little color over it. Okay. You see where we're starting to close in around our hen here. Now, it gets a little bit more of a challenge up here, and I'll tell you why, because I'm going to have all these feathers from this rooster up here, and just had to have some idea where he was going to go. Now, I got into a little bit of the Dazzling purple, and I'm going to put a little tiny bit of that with that. And what that does is it turns it really into an army green, this Dazzling purple, into the yellow. It makes it more of a avocado green. Okay. Now we know that our feathers are going to go above this. So I'm looking at that now, looking at our background, going, what do I need there? What I need is a little bit of phthalo blue and white into this green. So here we go again, a little phthalo blue and white. And I want to come over this, just on top of this, because that was just too much of that. Okay. Alright, so that's our background. Now, what's the problem here is we've got this big dark area here, which doesn't look real good. I don't like that. So I'm going to come over here with my blue, add a little bit of that on there, and let's take a little bit more yellow. That's some and white, so we can't lighten up a green here. Alright. Come over this a little bit. Did we lighten anything up? Kind of look. Oh, we did. I like that. Okay. There we go. Lighten that up a bit. It's still dark. There's some little dark patches, but that's okay. I don't mind a little dark here and there. In fact, I'll make another little dark green using the rest of these blues. Okay, just adding a little more blue on my yellows, and I'll get a real dark green here. And I might come over here in just a few places and just suggest some dark green. See? Now we're getting a little contrast into the background, barely touching it. just suggesting a little dark green. That was both blues and a little cad yellow medium. Okay, so I'm suggesting, then maybe down here toward the bottom. Okay, I'm suggesting a little bit of dark green. Everything's going up and down like that. That's pretty good. Maybe something over here. Suggest a little bit of dark green down here. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to dry it. And I'm going to really dry this well. I think that's how this is going to happen. In fact, I'm not going to pause the video. I'm just going to stop it and make this the first part of it. And then I'll splice it all together because this may take a little bit of time to dry. Okay? Like that. There we go. Up around our rooster. And we've got all these pretty colors. Let's see. What's way up here at the top? Way up here at the top. Let's make sure we have this covered. Okay? See? Okay, so that's what's showing through. Here's our rooster. You see where he's going to go. And I'm not going to try and, you know, what would happen. I'm just going to show you what would happen if we did, you know, we scraped in some plants or something. I mean, you could just take your palette knife and just scrape in a few little bushes to indicate some grass or something, just like that. You can carve this stuff out, and you can see it's right here on the board, and it's fairly thick. And that's certainly one thing to do. Is you can say that, look, here's some lighter, you know, maybe some grasses or something growing this way, and using the edge to just sort of gouge in there like that. And that's, I don't take that. Let's see, what about this? Right up from the bottom. I could even do the, and also I can come over this when this is dry. Where's my nice light yellow? Where did I lose that? I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because that's something you can plan on, particularly if you kind of have the picture in mind when you start. Here, I'm going to just say, here's some light green now. Now, what would happen if I said that there was some plants growing up like this? I mean, I could. Okay. So, can you get a little carried away with a palette knife and do some stuff? Sure. But we're going to keep this simple. I don't want to make this so hard nobody wants to do it. So, alright, so we did a little bit of that. Okay. Here's some stuff growing up here, and our rooster's really in a field of food. Maybe he's looking for something. We don't know what. Little bugs or something to eat. Alright, so now we're going to just stop all this and dry everything. And this is where you'd probably want to take a brush and paint around this green edge with some, you know, around this edge with something. Alright? So that's fun. We'll stop the video now, and we'll continue on after we've got everything dry. Okay, so I've given this a couple hours to dry. I really wanted this to be dry because I'm doing this flat on a table. I didn't want to get my hand and arm in the paint. I wanted to be able to put my other colors on top. And I'm going to find some small brushes here. Just a couple. Some of these white ones. Okay. Alright, we got a few here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take a brush, and some of this I'm going to put in with the brush, and then I want to just give you an idea. I've got two different plates of colors. I've got some molding paste, because I want some texture on this thing. So, molding paste, and that's by Liquitex. And I've got Cad Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Naples Yellow Light, ISO Yellow, Burnt Sienna, Napthol Crimson, and Cad Red Medium. So those are my warm colors. And then over here on this plate, I've got Cad Red Medium, Dazzling Purple, Ultramarine Blue, and Phalo Blue. Those are the colors. And another little pile of the molding paste, okay? But for now, I think what I want to do is just put in the legs of our bird, because I know that they're coming down here like this, and I will just draw those in. And this brush is way too fat, and I don't know why you own that brush. That's going in the trash. Way too fat. Let's see, I need another little small brush. Where did I put those? Okay, let's try another little one. Okay. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to say that there's my the leg of my bird coming here like this, and I've got another one that's coming this way. Just going to put those in here. Now they're going to have a little shadow. You know, everything's got a shadow side. I don't care if it's a leg of a bird or a branch or what. This is really fatter than I want. So what are we going to do about that? We'll change brushes again. This brush is too big, so we're going to have to pare it down a little bit into a smaller brush. I need a pointy one. Okay. Alright, now let me just show you how we're going to erase that. Take a little water on a clean brush. Make sure I have a rag. And I'm just going to come under here because this is dry now. I can just go back and forth with a little water. And I'll be able to do that even on anything I do with a palette knife. See how I just sort of cleaned that up, made it a little skinnier? Because this definitely needed to be thinner. So alright, so here's a little bit of the burnt sienna. And I'm going to say that that's the shadow part of the leg. I think I'll just do that first, and then I'll put the highlight on rather than light. Right. So those are the legs, and then as the feet go out, we're going to again switch brushes. Just going to put that right there. Need a little brush that I need something fairly small. At some point, you know, I need to be able to say that there's the little feet coming up this way. Here's this dark leg. Alright, very good. And here's this other dark leg. And little feet going this way. It's got these little claws. Okay. Then I'll take a little bit of that light color and do a highlight on it. And I could come back with a highlight too. That's alright. And I may come back even with some grass. I'm going to put these in here anyway, regardless. I'm saying there's my two legs. I'm going to move this out of the way now. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to do this bird in stages. So if those are my legs, which they are, let me get a little Dazzling purple and put with that burnt sienna. And I want this even a little bit darker than I've got it here, like that. A little bit darker on the right-hand side of that. Okay, there's a little back claw like that. Okay, so I've got a little bit darker. Now, I'm going to say that just back in here like this, here is the dark part of this bird, like this. And I'm going to go ahead and paint on almost like an underpainting, in a sense. I'm going to just sort of shape. This is almost like pantaloons that come over these little feathers that come over the top of this, you know, this leg like this. Like that. I'm going to go ahead and paint those in like this. And I'm not too worried about if I've got a little yellow, that I can cover the yellow up with green if I get too much here. But again, these are coming over the top of these legs. Now when I go ahead and I put some palette knife stuff on here, I've got the shape. That's the key here. I want to make sure that I have the shape. This leg slightly in front of this other one. And now we've got a, you know, his tummy's coming right like this. Okay, so see, I've got to put those legs in. Otherwise I won't know where to put what. Okay, so that's what the little brush is for. I'm going to do the same thing probably up here around his head, but I'm not sure. I'm going to just build this up in stages. We've got a wing that's going to come here like this. I've got another one that's coming back here like this on top of that. And I've got some stuff coming this way. Here's some back stuff. So, alright, so this is underneath all of that. See, this is what you need to know, is that what's underneath what. So a lot of times you think if you have to have something with a lot of texture, it all has to be done with a palette knife. It does not. It does have to, you do have to have texture though, and you can take a brush and put a little texture on your brush like this. Here's your modeling paste, and let's just say like back in here, I want this maybe a, what color do I want that? I want this maybe a phthalo blue back in here with a little modeling paste, a little bit of white, tiny bit of red. You don't want to mix this too much. Okay, I'm going to say that back this way, put a little white with that. I'm pulling on, here's the modeling paste on my brush. I'm saying that this is the under part of this bird, and I intend to make this bird very colorful. It's coming down here like this. I'm going to put white, a little bit of modeling paste right on top of that. Make it thick, just like you were putting peanut butter or something on toast. So that's, okay, there's that bottom part of this bird right there. Okay. Now, the modeling paste, I like it because you can dry it. It'll skin over with the hair dryer. Okay. So I'm going to say if that's there, and how this has to be done is really honestly in steps like this. For me. Anyways, that's how I do it. Maybe somebody else would do it a different way, but when I'm doing something like this, this all has to be done in pretty good steps. And let's see, let's take a small palette knife and see what we can do now. So I put that on there like that with a brush. I'm going to see if there's anything I can do to make that a little bit more interesting. I've got a little bit of blue and phthalo blue. Now I'm going to come up here like this with my knife. I'm going to even add a little bit more texture on than I had, right like that. Come like, there you go. Okay, that's what I want. And I want a little bit of white that's going to go on top of this. So what? Okay, that's pretty good. I like that. Now, alright, so if I'm saying that's happening there, what I know for sure is that this chalk stuff, I can take some chalk. I know that I've got feathers coming all down here, and then other stuff sort of in this little bit of feathers is in front of it. So I think that I want, I'm going to just leave that like that and just start with some back feathers here. I'm going to just a little bit more white with this. I'm going to say here's some white and blue feathers. I'm going to say they're coming back like this, almost like a fountain. Alright, a little phthalo blue and white. Want this fairly bright. We'll take a little Dazzling purple and white. Okay, right over this yellow stuff. Okay, and I'm going to pull some colors down. Here's some pure purple. We're doing this bird in a lot of bright colors. Okay, I'm going to say that there's a dark purple feather that's happening here. In other words, what I want to see happen here with this rooster is just an explosion of color. This is what I'm going for here. Just pull this all the way off, bring this down, just a total explosion of color. So then in that case, I might take a little ultramarine blue, barely touch it now. I've got texture on my brush, and so just because I have texture on my brush, I can really start having this bird raised off the canvas. And the reason I didn't do, say, a heavy gloss gel medium is because the camera does not like at all, anything shiny. If I started to do some sort of shiny gloss medium, you wouldn't like it, trust me. You wouldn't be able to see it. It wouldn't work. Alright, so now, okay, so now at this point I'm going to start layering on some colors. I wouldn't hurt to dry that, okay? That's okay. We're going to bring this up here like this. And I think what I'll probably do is just skin everything over and dry it. But I want to make sure I have enough white back behind here like this, where these tail feathers are coming down. And, you know, it's a bird, so let's pull some down here like this, kind of get it wavy, you know. I mean, get some movement in it. Okay, like that. All right, that's pretty. So I like those colors with that. Okay. Now, at this point, we're going to pause. I'm going to pause and dry all of this. Okay, so it's not totally dry, but it's skinned over. So now I'm going to switch gears here and wipe off my knife. And I want back under here, I want some reds. So I probably should have put some Dazzling purple out here too with the reds. That would have been good too, with my red side here. Well, I could do it with this. Hang on. I want some reds. So I'm going to take some red and Dazzling purple. That's Napthol Crimson, okay? And a little bit of this texture stuff here, okay? And I want to say that back in here, I've got this sort of almost burgundy red color. It's like a rust color. Here, this is my color underpainting tones for the bird. We'll have other stuff that goes on top of this, but I have to have it here. You'll notice that, see, it's getting there, okay? And I want to say that right on top of this, I'm going to give the, right on top of these, I'm going to say that these are our, remember I told you once we got the texture, we could put it right on top of that. I'm saying right on top of that. And I want to say that now, switching gears here, I want to say that I want some oranges. So red and yellow. This is ISO yellow and Cad yellow medium. And I want to put a little Cad red medium with it too. I want to get into some kind of bright oranges. I want to come under here, make sure I have some texture with it. Okay. I'm going to come under here like this and say that this is some texture of orange. And I want to, under this wing like this, I'm going to go right into the Cad red medium at some point too. Don't be afraid to keep changing colors. And you notice how I skimmed over the blue, so now I'm kind of overlapping that, okay? Skimmed it over there. And I'm saying that I want some of this color coming this way. This chest is going to be. Okay, here's this next layer. Now, as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to take some ISO yellow and just put a little bit right there on the front, like a highlight on the front of each one of these little feathery feet, his legs, like that. Okay, so far so good. Now, here's some red, just some Napthol Crimson, which is a pretty good red. Let's see if I want to put any of that back in here. So I'm going to come back on top of here a little bit against that dark brown. And now I'm going to add some of the red, bright red, right on top of that. Okay. And, okay, now I'm going to just sort of switch gears a little bit. And this is fun. I'm making this up as I go. I hope you appreciate this. You know, probably this is the kind of thing you probably want to paint in a couple times to get your colors right. But here's some purple now. Dazzling purple, a little texture. And I'm going to say come all under here like this. And I'm going to say that all this back over here is dazzling purple. Okay. And then where can I put that? I want some dark dazzling purple. I don't have to put any texture on it because I've already got it right up in here. And I probably will use my little brush for that. I'm going to put a little red with it. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of red into this dazzling purple right on top. Just using a little bit of this like this. Now this is all, some of this is wet and some of it isn't, okay? So here's the top of this bird. And all of this will, what's going to happen here is that all of this will start, if you have to be careful because you'll just end up with one color. You don't want to do that. So just kind of stop and look at it then and say, I know I've got some dark there. And now I'm going to say I want some dark blue up in here. It's just some phthalo blue and it looks very close to purple. I'm going to bring that up in here like this. So that this is my dark blue area. Because remember, you're going to put the darks on first. Everything gets dark first. Okay, so we're still, and notice the brush strokes that I'm going. Just kind of overlapping some of this. Okay, so far so good, right? Maybe a little bit here on the front of his chest, right over this red. Okay, and then I'll pull a little bit of this red in here like this, right over that. Let's just take some bright crimson, put it in here. Okay. I'm layering. I'm just going ahead and layering. I want to take a little bit of that blue and put a little bit of dark blue back here, behind here, these legs. Make sure that I've got a little shadow back there. Okay. Now, alright, so these are sort of some areas where there's some dark, and there's definitely some dark under here, and there's some dark back under here. And then I'll probably, let's see, make sure I have enough dark here. So a little bit of red here. Let's just make some red here. Okay. Alright, so now this is what we've got so far. Now what we're going to do is dry it. This is the next thing. We're going to pause and dry the whole thing. Skin it all over. Okay, so I've dried. This is skinned up to the touch. Now I'm going to come up here and work on my head a little bit with a small brush. I want to make sure I get this head shape right. And I'm going to come back here. Here's the round part of the head and the neck. Alright, I'll come up here like this. And I'm going to bring this back like that. I've got just sort of a, you know, kind of a light red orange color here at this point. Okay. Now what's interesting, here's a little bit of azo yellow. I'm going to put that there here, right on top of this. See how, because we dried it, this goes right on top of that, like that. Okay. Now, we're going to say that this came down like this. Here's the round part of the head. Okay. Or orange. Okay. And now I want to just change colors here and go into a little bit of white. I'm going to say that there's some white right here. That's titanium white. And I'll just pull some. Okay. Just for now, this isn't real white because my brush is kind of dirty. Let's try some more white here. So this is the white coming this way. Now, okay, so if I'm just right now, what I'm trying to do now is just generally get the shape of the head and the neck. Okay? So that's all I'm trying to do now is just generally get that shape. Make sure that wherever I've done, I've got that. Okay? Now I think that's pretty good. Okay? And let's see, let's put a little beak here. I'm going to put a little beak. Titanium white. And I want you to know the beak curves down. It has the top part's a little rounded. It doesn't go up straight up like a triangle. It kind of curves down. So if I want that light beak to show up, I will have to put something fairly dark next to it. So let me grab a little yellow and blue, make a dark green, and I'll come underneath the beak like this with the dark green so that you can see it. Remember, in painting, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So you're not totally stuck here with whatever background you've got. You can still, you see the kind of curved beak. Now you can kind of see the beak. Now I'll go back later with a little yellow or something and tap this out so it doesn't look so outlined with the little vertical strokes here. Okay, that's right. So there's the beak. Now right now this chicken doesn't look like much of anything, but what we have is some texture on it. We've got some stuff. Now we can start adding some more pizzazz, and that's where I think it gets fun. For me, I think we've kind of got an idea of what we want to do. So I've got the general shape of this. Not totally here. I think there was some, I think we said that there was some sort of red right here like this. Okay. Little red stuff that comes down on his chest. And I want his comb up here too. Gonna put that in with the brush. Okay, here's his comb, like that. So you want to make sure you've got that, otherwise it's not going to look like a rooster if you don't have the comb. And on a little bit of the purple, not that dark, when you're doing the comb, you want a little bit of a dark shadow underneath it. So make sure that the bottom part of it's got a little bit of a shadow. This is all done with the brush. Okay. Let's see. One thing I will say about her pictures, you can barely see it. I mean, we're going to give him an eye, but there we go. Little eye. Okay. So now we're starting. Now, okay, so I feel like at least I've sort of got the makings of a chicken, even if we don't a rooster, even if it doesn't feel too roostery yet. Okay. All right, now we're saying that happened there. Here's the white, little orange beak here. Okay. There's his beak. Now at this point, probably put a little white under his eye like this. Make his eye a little more interesting. Alright, there we go. Something like that. Now, I want to put... Now we've got this pretty background. Let's put some pizzazz on this chicken. This rooster. Let's see if we can't really make it pretty. So one thing I know I want for sure is a little yellow over here. I'm going to take some phthalo, some and white. Where's white? Here. I need a lot of white. And I think I've built up enough texture for the most part, particularly back on these feathers, where I don't have to worry so much about that. Back here on the tail feathers. So I want to go into the phthalo blue and white. Now, there we go. See this? A little bit of yellow. And now, what we want to start having happen here is we need some colors on this bird. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. We're really going for some colors now. If you can see that. Really going, this is just phthalo blue and white. That was a little yellow in it, but now I want something brighter here. Alright, that's pretty. So, I go into a little bit darker blue. We had a little purple here before, so I'm just going to start adding some colors. All of this come in here like this. I'll go grab a little white. This brush is way too big. Let's try this one. Now I can actually get away with a small brush because we've done all the texture, and I want some. I really want some nice colors on this tail. Okay, see that? I really want some, and I want to be able to see it. Okay, and let's see, where's a little purple and white? Alright, that's pretty. Let's put some purple in here. We had some, but let's put a little bit more. Okay, so if we had purple and white there, okay, then we need a little contrast. We need some dark colors. So we may have to dry it again, just sort of dry it in between these layers. I'm going to say that here's some darker colors. It's dark purple. Okay. Now where else? Okay, so now we need something right here. Okay, so we had this sort of red underneath. Here's our turquoisey color. Now I want to come up over here like this, over this red. Red's underneath. And start adding more feathers. Here's a nice big thing of white here. Want the movement going. You want to keep this movement going. It's almost an abstract chicken, but you still want the rooster, but you want the movement going. Gotta roll your brush around because it's got a little texture on it like that. Okay, so far so good. Now, at this point, let's see, what can we do? Let's pull a little bit of dark. This is phthalo blue, just the dark part, right? Make sure I have some dark here. All right, I'm liking that. So where else can I put this pretty green color? Kind of think I could put a little bit right here like this. Over this. Let some of that red show. Okay. Still making that work. And I want to make this work right here. And I think I need some real light here. Okay, so this is, remember we had this dark area under here. Now here I'm under the white paint. I'm going to say that there's some dark. This is still part of the bird. See that? Look at the brush strokes. Okay. I'm going to just keep layering this and drawing and layering. Okay, there you go. I want something really light right there. Going this way. Something really light right here. Going this way. And let's see where else. Oh yeah, we're going to do something else here. That's got to dry though. I can't do it. Okay. And then right in here, I'm going to just say that there's some of this pretty turquoise color. So there we go, right over here like this. I'm going to bring some of this blue color over the red. So I want some of this happening right here. It's coming this way. Down to his neck. I think I want it blue. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to stop and dry everything because I want to change colors. And I'm not sure that I can do that easily. Let's see, can I do that easily? Let's see. I'm going to come in here like this. Hold this like this, a little bit over that. Yeah, I did that, okay. Alright, that worked. This is all about layering. Okay, you know, this layering, you're doing warm or cool colors. This is all about layering. I'm saying this is coming over here. I've got enough texture to make that work over the top of this leg. Like this. Here's a little bit of yellow with it. Now what I haven't done is added any yellow into this bird, but I don't want to do that yet until I can dry it. But you can see that I could put a little bit right here, just dipping my brush in, putting a little bit of yellow here, right like this. It kind of looks a little green. This is about a bird of lots of colors. This is what I'm wanting to, you know, convey about this chicken. I'm right into the yellow, so it feels a little green. It's okay. I didn't rinse my brush. I'm going to put a little of that color there anyway. I like it. Alright, we'll stop a minute and dry it and keep going. Alright, so now I'm going to just see if I can't jazz it up a little bit. I'm going to take some yellow. When you're using a palette knife, try not to mix it too much. Here's a little yellow oxide too. I want to say that right up in here, over some of this, that there's some yellow. And I'm just going to scrape it up like this. It's just now I'm putting it on with the palette knife. I'm going to just say that there's the yellow. Kind of touch it over this like that. Going up like this. Bringing it down. Okay, like that. A little bit of yellow there. I'm going to say that there's some yellow that's coming up here on his back like this. I'm going to just curve it up like this. Okay. Now here's some red. I know that this just, I feel like there needs to be some red coming. Here's the dark part. Now I'm using the palette knife. So can't say that there's the red coming like this. And I'm barely touching it. I'm going to pull it over here like this. It's my red. Okay. So if I'm saying that happens, then maybe I'll take a little azo yellow for a highlight. Come over the top of this like this. That's fun. A lot of different ways to come up with this rooster. Okay, here it is. Okay, like that. Okay. Now, how about some red back here? Right on top of this. Seeing the point and just pulling it. Let me get down there's enough texture on here now where we're getting away with that a little bit. Now, I'm out of yellow paint, so this is what happens when you're painting. It's easy enough to get out of colors, and then it's not as effective. You don't want that to happen. So here's my yellow and white. I want some light. This chest here is going to be light. I'm going to come down here like this. Scrape that up. Want this lighter. See, it's all layers here. We kind of build this up in layers. Do you see how we're doing that? Now, here's this. Here's some just taking the yellow like this and the orange. Don't want to mix it too much. Now I want to come down over the top of this so that here's this part of the bird. Just going to bring all this down like this, very thick. The whole idea of that is to get this big textured bird here. It's coming this way. And let's see, do I got some bright red coming up this way? Maybe over the top of his head like that. How about some yellow? Barely touching it. I'm saying that there's some yellow coming up this way. Like that. How about in the front here? Let's put a little bit on the front. Where's this leg coming from? It's kind of coming from up here. A little there we go, like that. Okay, there's that leg. We're getting there. Got some little bit of red back here like this. Kind of using up the extra paint here. Okay, that's pretty fun. I'm liking that so far. Alright, now this is the kind of thing where you're saying, well, alright, so sometimes what you kind of end up doing is you end up maybe stopping because you ran out of paint. You don't want to do that. You know, you want to make sure that you have enough paint to finish this. And it's easy enough to say, well, I've used all the paint up on my palette, I won't put any more. It ought to be good enough. And I want to make sure that I've got some nice deep reds right in here on his back. Red and green are complements of each other. Like that. There you go. That's pretty. You know, not totally. So, alright. So now what? Maybe some pure yellow right on top of that. Barely touch it. Ah, there we go. Pure yellow. Ah, love it. Okay, that's nice. Where else can I put some color? Probably want to start with a different plate. If I want to go for some pure yellows, I want to start at a different plate. And let me just turn this. Let me pause a minute because the phone's going and I don't know why it didn't get turned off. Okay, so now I went ahead and took advantage of that and went ahead and skinned this over again. I'm really building up texture now. Now I want to finish this off. I took a little phthalo green and white. I usually just keep phthalo green for oceans, but I have a little tiny bit of that. And I want to add that color. Let me just explain why real quick. It helps to know why we're doing things. Turquoise is the complement of orange, okay? So phthalo green is very close to turquoise, and I've got a lot of orange right here. So if I put a little tiny bit of this phthalo green and white, just like that, look what happens You can overdo it. This is what we call color surprise. See that? Isn't that pretty? And just you can overkill this. All right, so here's a little orange, and I'm going to put some right here next to this orange, a little bit right there. Make sure I have enough white in it. It's our phthalo green. All right, there you go, just a touch right next to where the orange is. Okay, see that? Okay, and then let's put a little bit more of the phthalo green. I just need a little bit more of that out, a little deeper shade of that. And I'm going to come back into our tail like this. Maybe put a little bit next to the red, because green is the complement of red. Alright, you with me there? Okay, so here's a little bit of the darker phthalo green. Just little tiny bits of this. There we go, right next to the red. Okay, so sort of layering this over. And what I'm trying to do here is just add some, put a little bit back here on the back legs here, right next to where the, right here. I think I'll take some dark blue and just darken up these legs a little bit with some blue, just a little bit of blue on the tip of my palette knife, like that, right over that burgundy red. Okay. And let's see, where else can I put some kind of, I want some shadowy colors. Okay, so I'm going to might put a little bit of blue right in here, like this. Okay, a few little shadowy colors. And I feel like, you know, this is where what we're doing right now is we're popping up the color. That is the whole idea behind this, is that we're popping up the color. And I want to make sure that we've done that. So let's take a little bit of phthalo blue, phthalo green, and I want to add some yellow to that and let you see what happens. There's a lot of different stuff that can go on. Let's get some cad yellow medium with that, and I'll show you. Now look, I'm not going to mix it very well. It almost is a malachite green now. Couple of just strokes, 1, 2, like that, right? A little bit of that green there. Then back in here into this tail by the red. Back in here, 1, 2, a few little strokes. Just what we're doing is we're just playing with colors. Okay, it's a much brighter green now than anything we did in our background. And I feel like, you know, we can get away with that because, here, let's put a little bit right in here next to this red on the chest, like that. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, now I feel like something has to happen here. Got to brighten all this up here, and I don't want anything by the head, but we can put a little bit more something in the tail. Okay, so I'm back to, you know, wanting to jazz up the tail a bit. And here's my phthalo. Put a little phthalo green in the tail. Phthalo green and white in the tail, I think, would be very pretty. I want you to see how I'm doing this because I'm barely mixing this. Just expanding over the top of this. And I could be using a brush too, but that's okay. I'm going to say that this came this way. Alright, so there's our rooster's tail, all pretty. And I feel like we need something right here. We'll bring a little something down like that. Okay, down his neck. And let's see, where else could we put something? How about right here? There we go, right next to that. That's pretty. Put a little bit lighter green there, okay? So you can kind of see how I'm building up some colors. Now I want some bright yellow stuff in here. So I'm going to have to wipe off the palette knife. And I want it bright. I want some really bright yellow here. Okay, you see what I just did? And maybe back here too, in the tail. I want some bright yellow. I'm telling you what, I want this thing to just pop with color. So now I'm just pure color out of the tube in a few places. I've got the shape of the rooster okay. And let's see where else we're going to put some. Right here maybe. Right in the front. Okay, see if I like that. I don't hate it. There, how's that? I don't hate it. Yeah, right up here around his head. Let's just pull this little lighter. The nice thing about the modeling paste is you can dry it, and now you can keep building up colors. Okay, now remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So, if we're saying that there's some of these bright colors in here, I think I want that light. This is why we did all these funny yellows. I think I'm going to take this Naples light yellow because it's almost white and put it on top of some of this right here like that. Kind of soften that up. It's bright, but I don't know that I need it that bright. Start layering this up here like this. Okay, kind of think about that. And how about here? Do we want anything back here in the tail? Maybe something light back here in the tail. Now it's mixing with the green, so I may have to take this with the brush. I don't know. If I pull anything back here, do I like it? Well, look, it's not horrible. Let's see. How about this one? Right here. Okay, so that doesn't say anything to me. That little bit of light paint right there, that doesn't say anything, so I'm not a big fan of it. It's got to say something or there's no point in doing it. So let's put a little cad yellow medium over it. There we go. Okay, so now you can see. Now I'm still entering stuff on here. We got to redo the beak. I don't like that. Okay. So far, so good. I kind of like this. I think I'd almost like a little bit of blue right up in here. Right up here. Maybe just a little bit of blue up here on the top. There we go. Okay. So I like that. A little bit of blue. And where else could I put a little bit of blue? So where else could we put some blue? It would be pretty. Down here on the tail feathers for sure. Sure, we've got a nice tail going down here, and I want to make sure I have some nice bright blue up here. Right over this, something really light over that green. There we go. Pull that out. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so we've got this sort of interesting, rooster. We've got a lot of contrast here. Maybe we need a little bit more dark blue there. Let's see, maybe we need this a little bit darker right here. And why is that? Because the green's real light there. So if I had dark green there, maybe I'd lighten this up. But make sure I've darkened this up right like that. So that's the kind of, want you to be able to see where the chicken or the rooster, ends and the other stuff starts. Okay. And let's pull a little bit of blue right like this. Right over this orange. There we go. Okay. So now we're just getting a little bit of contrast going here. Maybe right here by his head. Make that a little bit darker. Okay. Like that. And now, okay, what else can I do? All right. Again, this is one of those deals where you probably need to stop and dry it. I've got some colors I haven't really used that much. I had a bunch of yellow oxide, and I haven't done any of that. And we could put a little, that might be nice to add a little bit of yellow oxide somewhere. Put a little of that in here. That's pretty. Or could we put a little yellow oxide and still have it work? That's nice. Okay. That would be nice back in here too. I think we could have a little bit in the tail. A little yellow oxide in the tail. I probably should just stop and dry some of this. Okay. And then at this point too, I've got, remember we did some sort of little plants up here. So I'm using this that light yellow, you know, that Naples yellow, and I'm putting in, just sort of catching some like little things that might be blooming right in here like this on here. A little bit of yellow oxide too. Alright, we're saying that there's something that's living up here like that. A little yellow oxide, just tapping it over here like this. Okay. On here, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. So something is over here like this. Now, would we have any, maybe something red back over in here? Maybe a little bit of orange, something. I'm just using up the rest of my paint here. Maybe I want a little bit of a touch of, just some little touch of red where something might be growing here. And then something might be growing here like this. Down over here, just sort of tapping it in here. Where's our light stuff? Alright. Okay, so that's, I mean, I think that's working for me. So what else could we do to this, our wonderful bird? I think we need some more contrast in here. For sure we need some more red right here. I will add it. There you go, a little bit of red right there. I'm just kind of scraping up the rest of my plates, seeing if I could put it somewhere. I think I could make this a little thicker right here. Ooh, that's nice. It'll build up his little body. Okay. If I did that, then I'll do this. I'll break that up a bit. This is fun because I can kind of look in the mirror, and I still have this burnt sienna. We haven't done a lot with that. I could put a little bit of that in here. I don't need a lot. This darker brown color. I mean, we're just trying to make a very artistic bird here with all these nice colors. And let's see, what else could we do? Well, we're going to stop right now and dry it. Then I'm going to do a few more things. Won't film it, but I'm going to just add a few more touches here and let you see what I've done, okay? Alright, so I'm going to just dry this and then just do a couple more finishing touches. Okay, so I've added a few little bit more bright spots of red, and I put a little white here. Now I've mixed phthalo blue and phthalo green together, and I'm making a new turquoise color, and I'm putting that, I'm starting to add little bits of color. This has a lot of layers to it, but this will be very pretty next to, for instance, next to orange. I'm going to put it up here by his head maybe. Just a few little bright touches of that. See that? That's the phthalo green, the phthalo blue together. How about up here like this? We did a little purple. Put a little dark purple somewhere. Purple and yellow are nice. Add a little bit more yellow. So you see I've just gone around the bird and look for places to do some tiny highlights. Just 1-2 strokes and stop. 1-2 and stop. See? Just like that. Now just a few little touches like that, and I think make it very, very nice. We've put a little bit of white in the tail. Maybe have a feather going up like this. Let's take some dark green with that. There we go. It felt like some of these feathers had to sort of curve up this way. Let's take a little blue. There we go. Sides curving around back this way. You can see where the yellow is starting to show up. A little bit of yellow in the tail. And about the only other thing I think we want to do, which I kind of like, is I took a little Cad Red medium and I ran around and I popped up some of the reds. And you can see where I've added a little tiny bit of white in a couple of places. I might add a little bit right here. Right over this. Just 1-2 strokes like that. Little patch of white right there. Okay. All of that sort of gives a little bit of weight to the bird. There we go. A little light color there. Now we've got this beautiful, colorful hen. And I feel like, you know, we've got a few little green things in here. What can we do down here? Make a little bit of, I want to make sure that we've got, I don't want this too bright in here, so I'm just taking a little bit, sort of a muted green, tapping out some of this bright yellow that was here. I didn't really like it. Okay, right like that next to the bird. And I think I could even make it darker. This is the kind of stuff you want to do. You know, you want to say, where can I, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. You need to make something darker somewhere. You want to be very careful not to get that circus green. You don't want to be using phthalo green, down in here. You want to make sure that you're staying with ultramarine blue and yellow, because if you get into the phalos, then you're going to have to dump a bunch of red in it to tone it down. In fact, I'm kind of out of, you know, all my greens here. Maybe I can put a little bit of blue in here like this. I just wanted to just do something up in this area here. Just remember where we kind of carved something out there, just a few little brush strokes there, some sort of little plants. I really would like something dark there, so I'm going to just have to, my paint's all dry at this point. Because I'll tell you what, that molding paste, it allows for your paint to dry fairly quickly. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing to get texture with. And if I've got that, then I need to put some yellow out. Cad yellow medium. Where's my big tube of that? At this point, everything's scattered everywhere. That's all right. Well, I think what I want is a little bit of darker. You know, notice we got a little dark shadow down here. I want a little bit darker down here at the bottom. So that's going to have to happen. Just a little bit darker down in here. I'd like it. See how I've got it dark here? And let's see, maybe I can get that to happen with some yellow. Need some cad yellow medium. Well, here's some iso yellow. Maybe I can make that work, because I don't see where I put the cad yellow medium right this hot second. So I'm going to grab some of that. I want a darker green. That's not going to be too bright. Okay. Almost a blue-green. And I want just a bit of dark down in here in this corner. Maybe there's just some sort of plants growing up out of the corner here, just with a little brush like that. Kind of darken it up. Do you see how I did that? We've already got enough texture. We don't have to make any. I'm just going to suggest that there's something growing out of the bottom of here. And if I'm going to put it over there, then I want to make sure I have some of this dark area right here for these plants. A little bit darker under the feet. Going that way. And I think that's pretty good. I think that's our picture. If you know, you don't want to get too busy in here with the flowers, because that's going to just be weird. You got to be very careful with that you don't do that. And I've got some light little bits of yellow here, and that was that Naples yellow. That's what that was. And so I've got somewhere here, if I wanted some light yellow highlights, I just might take it right out of the tube like this and just dot on, like there might be some flowers down here like this with the Naples, just with that Naples yellow, and taking a little brush right out of the tube. I don't want to put any out. Just going to say that there's some sort of little something growing here like that. The same here, like this, a little bit of Naples yellow over here. And I'd say that that's kind of it. This would be a pretty one to this. I think this would look very nice varnished. I don't want to varnish it. The colors would really stand out if you did varnish it, because it's very flat looking right now because of the it's got a real matte look to it. But I think particularly if you were going to put this in a kitchen, it would be extremely pretty to add that to have a bit of a shine to it, I think, personally. Okay. And I'm going to just come down here like this and say that there's a little, you know, I could just be playing with this picture all night. Want some more of this green in the tail. You know, that bright green in the tail. Want a little bit of this bright green right up here. And I don't know, I lost the white here somewhere. Those are the kinds of things where you could spend another hour playing with the picture. The thing is that we're filming it, so we don't want to do that. Here, let's lighten this up a little bit here, right around here like that. Oh, nice. Huh. You know, a couple little, this is where you just layer, 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 but I think we're doing pretty good. Right in here, that doesn't read very well. Do you see what I'm saying, where these plants are? So let's take some dark, and let's just come up here like this. I'll just bring some dark plants up closer to here. There. Okay, that reads better to me, where the tail is just sort of hitting into those dark areas. And then maybe there's some little plants sitting on top of that, some flowers, but that's okay. We had a little bit of orange, but I didn't want to get too much going with the orange. It's easy enough, for instance, because red and green are complements, it's easy enough to want to take maybe a little cad red medium and touch a few of these little flowers here, just in a couple places. And there's some interesting flowers happening, and that's okay, but you don't want to overdo it. You know, maybe there's something here. A little bit, and I like it because red and green are complements, so if you do a little of that, it's not the worst thing ever to have a little of that showing. I think it might be fun at this point to just fix his eye. I don't like his eye. And then I want a dark thing for his eye here. Okay, got a little bit of a dark. Perfect. This is what the little brush is for. Just, there you go, something on the top of its head like that. Alright, like that better. Like that better. Like this better. I'm telling you what, I could do another hour on this and I'd be happy. But I think that's a pretty decent chicken, or rooster. I kind of like it, and I hope this was a fun project. And if you thought this was fun, check out the other hashtag pawgustart videos. The Art Sherpa's got some terrific things going. That's my daughter Cinnamon. And Secret Soda really just knocked something right out of the park for you guys. Look all around for these. I talked about it at the beginning. I'll talk about it at the end. Would appreciate if you want to subscribe to the channel. That would be lovely. I would just think that would be great. If you, and hit a few likes. That would be nice. And you know, share this with your friends. As you see, I'm coming up here with some brighter yellows in a few places. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when you're doing a video like, you know, when you're doing a painting like this. I'm going right out of the tube. This is bismuth yellow. I had some from the, you know, when I did that little video on yellows. Quite frankly, I just felt like putting some of that in there. Let's see what it, just a little bit on top of that. So it's got almost a green quality to it. A few little dashes of color like that on the bird. This is the kind of thing where, you know, we've got a lot of texture. Now we're just, you know, putting some colors. And it's really, someone says, how long does it take you to do a painting? Well, for the most part, I try to do these things fairly quick so you can see it. But there's a time when you might just want to, you know, take a moment and give it some thought about what you're putting somewhere. Maybe up here, a little bit of yellow in his face. Or go around the bird's head like that, see? So these are all things, and then if I'm doing that, then I want to do, I think I want something up here. Alright, this is going to be a long video. Hope anybody sits here to watch it, but maybe we can edit it down a bit. Okay, so, ooh, I like that yellow. Boy, toward the end, I'm sorry, I like that. I've got to keep going with that. How do you layer in colors and make it pretty? And how about some of this yellow down here on these flowers? That might be nice. Just right out of the tube. Just a few little flowers that were brighter. I don't know, maybe, huh? Okay, something like that. Alright, that works for me. And now I see some place where I want some blue. And it just, this is where it goes. This is how you do it. You know, I want some blue here, I want some white here. Wow, I want some white too. I see somewhere I want some white, and it's very fun because I look at the painting that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the photo, and I'm seeing all these places where I can add color. A little white right there. Okay, a little white right there. About a little bit of white right up here. Just now, remember, we've got all this texture, so now you can sit there with a tiny brush and fool around with this. Just kind of like doing a puzzle. Now that you see what I'm doing, it's a little bit like doing a puzzle. Absolutely, a little bit like doing a puzzle. There we go. And that's, you say, where else can I put it and not ruin the effect? And I think that we're doing that. Maybe a little bit of white right down here on the leg, right there in a couple places. Yeah, alright, I'll quit. I'm going to write my name right here. I'm going to just take a minute and write my name. Let's see how am I going to do that, because it's so, you know, it's a challenge to write your name somewhere when this is so rough. See if I can do it. I think so. For every letter I'm going to get a little bit of paint. I'll put my name on here like this. Okay. Write my name in the grass. I don't know if you can barely see that. And then with everything that happens with my signature, it always has the red line through it. And you can see that on my website, why I do that. So there it is. Okay, well this will be, you know, I thought I'll probably end up doing with this bird is I'll probably end up giving it to my mother-in-law for Christmas. Because I kind of like really like this. You see here, it goes back into the red. I had the red out and then I had to put some. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I had the red out. Then I had to put some. And where else can you add some color? What else can you add color? This is, we could just go on, and then the red's one of those colors that disappears on you. You think you've got it, and then it goes away. And my feeling is that if, see, I almost feel like we need, I'm looking at the screen thinking we need a little bit, just a couple little places right here maybe. Alright, a little bit of red, a little bit of green. Ah, perfect. Okay, we've signed it. We're not going to do anything else. I hope this was fun. This is Ginger Cook saying enjoyed the fun hashtag projects, and we're going to think about animals this month in August and August, and go around and see whatever all our friends made for you too, because we have a whole group of artists that got together to do this, and I hope you're going to take the time to enjoy it. Thank you. Ooh, let me just straighten this out like that.